Hi, I'm Dr. Len Sabuda here with Dr. Richard Cunyon. Dr. Cunyon is boarded in both neurology and psychiatry and a graduate of both Stanford and UCSF. He's a pioneer in nutritional medicine, has been working in it for about 50 years. Dick, again, it's a pleasure to have you back. Thanks for being
Thank you,
here.
Len.
Okay. We've been talking about a lot of different topics, and this particular one is on micronutrition. And micronutrition, in terms of health medicine, is a concept that's really fundamental at telling us what we need to know in order to be healthy. So what is micronutrition, Dick?
Well, micronutrition is all about the little things, the invisible things in food
Uh-huh.
that have been a puzzlement to humankind until the year 1911, when Casimir Funk, a Polish scientist, came up with the idea that it was possible to be diseased, sick, have symptoms based on the fact that you were missing something.
Indeed.
Now, that was a novel idea. If you can imagine, for 2,000 or 5,000 or how many thousands of years that human consciousness could even conceive of what ailed us, this was the first time somebody said, you're missing something.
Well, Dick, I hate to tell you this, but I had a whole hour of nutrition when I was in medical school. Do you think I could have missed something?
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
So it hasn't changed as much as you'd hope.
Well, it shouldn't have been that vapid, pardon the pun, because I'm about to say, because we also need air and water.
Okay,
And
that
if you don't get air, what happens?
You're dead.
8 minutes and you're out.
That's right.
And if you don't get water, what happens?
A few days.
A couple of, anyway, longer than that, but it's certainly you're out.
Yeah.
And if you don't get your micronutrients, which means vitamins, minerals, what is it, about 12 vitamins? You can argue about it if you want.
Okay.
Minerals, everything in the atomic tables is a mineral, Mendeleev's table, so roughly 112, but of them, maybe we would argue about it here a lot, because someone would say, if it's in the earth, you need it. We just don't know it all yet.
Well, we're adapting
But
to our environment all
There's
these
at least
years.
half of them, 50 we'll say,
Okay.
essential. And then you get into amino acids, which is the protein fragments or microscopic particles. 10 of them are essential. Your body can make the rest, another 20 or so, or actually more than that. But those are the kind that are measured on the common laboratory. So we tend to think that's what it is. And then there are the fatty acids, of which there are supposed to be two essential ones, which is omega-3 and omega-6. But then under omega-3, there are two additional ones that seem to be, your body can't always make them, called EPA and DHA. So it would make 4 fatty acids.
Okay.
So you add it up, it's a lot of things to keep track of.
Right. Well, our cells do keep track of it. And if we don't have it, they simply can't function, because you could look at a cell as a microscopic industrial plant. And if that plant doesn't have all the things that you need to make a car, for example, say you're missing a spark plug or a cylinder or a tire, the car's not going to work right. Well, a cell is a microscopic industrial plant, and if you don't have all the things that it needs to be able to make the energy and all the other things that it makes, you're sick.
Yes, or if you're not sick, you're in the early stages, you are at least symptomatic.
Not functioning optimally.
And for us, our point of view as involved in health medicine, we're concerned that we want to catch things early. And things that respond to nutrition are especially likely to be early. Oh, well, granted, and conventional medicine, let's face it, people don't go to doctors if they don't have to. By the time they get to the doctor's office for surgery or for pharmacology,
yeah.
That's right.
The horse is out of the
barn.
barn.
There's damage.
That's right.
And so the damage, even with health medicine, doesn't always respond 100%. But the point is, it usually responds more than you would expect, more than the conventional-minded doctor can believe.
Well, we're not trained to think that way, Dick. And if we don't think that way, we don't look.
Well,
and if
that's
we
right.
don't look, then we continue with the situation that we try to fix with what we do know, which often is to suppress symptoms with drugs and surgeries and technologies, which is missing the mark some of the time.
Yes, that's such an important concept, to suppress symptoms with these technologies and with pharmaceuticals. When you get into the world of physiology, it takes a little more time. Healing doesn't always happen overnight, as we know.
Indeed.
And it takes some inspiration, some information, and some plain old perseverance to get the results. But at least if you have a plan, it helps a lot. And the plan in health medicine starts with nutrition. We had talked earlier about the balancing the macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Here we're talking about at least identifying deficiencies or excesses that apply to micronutrients, starting, let's say, with vitamins, of which I said there were 12 that are agreed upon as essential. Why don't we start with the first one, vitamin B1, discovered early part of the century. I mentioned Casimir Funk.
We're probably going to not be able to cover all those
of
vitamins.
course, we aren't going to cover them all, but at least just to know, what is it? They were watching chickens, and the chickens that ate white rice got paralyzed, and the chickens that had brown rice were stayed healthy. I mean,
well, it's simple.
Looking back, it seems so obvious, but if you didn't know it before, it's like so many things in our life where we kick ourselves after the fact.
Well,
but before the fact, that wasn't so simple.
Well, in closing, Dick, this is really a topic that most doctors need to study. And I think over time, what's going to happen is medicine's going to change. It's going to evolve into what we call health medicine. And that process is going to look at all the things you're talking about today, as well as the rest of the concepts
including
we see.
measurement. What we have to do
Absolutely.
now is measure this stuff.
We need to be
and
scientific
document
about it.
and it defends people from ignorance and from the ignorance of the professionals who can't believe it.
Well, over
Still, 100
time,
years later.
unless we evolve, we're going to continue as we are, seeing this epidemic of chronic diseases.